Have you had the talk, that awkward conversation that you have with your parent about the birds and the bees, about, sex? This is not a sex talk, but the Bible is not afraid to talk about sex. And it doesn't talk about the mechanics of it as much as it talks about the relationship that is associated with it. And for some, when they read the Bible, they read that it's kind of outdated or archaic. And sometimes when we read the Bible, we get this imagery that women are, less valued than men. And sometimes we get that impression because we don't always think of the fullness of what is going on in a written text. In the Hebrew portion of the Bible, which we in the Christian circles call the Old Testament, in the book of Proverbs, there is a series of insights that a father is passing along to his son. And in the 5th chapter, we come to the father passing along to his son some insights about who to have in his life, particularly who he should desire and want to be with in his life. And we're introduced earlier in the letter from the father to the son to wisdom. And wisdom is personified as a woman. And she's a good guide and will lead him in the right way. And then in chapter 5, we are introduced to another woman. And this woman is known as the immoral woman. And she is, the personification of wickedness in many aspects. And so we have in Proverbs lifting up of two different types of women. We have the wise one and we have the immoral one. Unfortunately, we've kind of spent more time focusing on the immoral one than we have on the wise one. But listen to what the father says to his son. He says, "The lips of an immoral woman are as sweet as honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is as bitter as poison, as dangerous as a double-edged sword." So the father is trying to guide his son in the direction of relationships. And this is one of those talk moments where he's not necessarily talking exclusively about how sex works, but he's talking about who to engage in that relationship with. And the father's trying to warn the son. Now the question is, does this apply to young ladies in the sense of young ladies? Are there immoral men out there who may flatter you and draw you in, but in the end it could lead to destruction? Well, absolutely. Just as this father is writing a letter to his son and warning him about immoral women, there are men out there, ladies, who will lead you down the wrong path as well. And so the closing portion of it, kind of captures, the closing portion of this chapter captures the sentiment of the idea that you really want to drink water from your own well, share love only with your wife. And that's, the father's advice to his son. And I think it would be a mother's advice to a daughter, except for it would be share your love only with your husband. And then there's this sense of beauty that says, let your spouse be the fountain of blessing for you. Rejoice in your spouse is a way to paraphrase verse 18 out of chapter 5. And here's the thing I want you to catch, is that the wise way to live is to really limit your exposure to how it is that you engage in love, engage in sex, engage in the beautiful relationship that is possible. And you want to be engaged in that with people, well, with the one person really, who you're committing yourself to and they're committing themselves to you. I know it sounds kind of archaic and sounds kind of old-fashioned, but it matters because in the end, we can be held captive by our sins. And they are ropes that catch and hold on and tie us up, as the father warns his son. And he says our lack of self-control will be loss because of the great foolishness. Our lack of self-control will lead us to a place of loss because of great foolishness. So, this is a longer one. Sometimes the relationships that we choose take more effort than what we're really ready to give. But it's important that we choose well who we're going to spend our lives with. I'll see you next time.